Okay, so we're moving on with a little more advanced mapping in QGIS. Not in a hurry, just going to take a little while here. First thing you want to do is go to the QGIS download page. You can just Google QGIS and download, and go down to the standalone installer for a 64-bit, unless you have a really old computer, at which point you're going to do the 32-bit. After you've downloaded and opened it up, it'll look something like this. You won't have these things here. You'll just have a blank screen there. I'm going to hit the new project. You should hit that too. And so now we're going to go add some data layers. I've put a couple of data layers in the Moodle site, but we're just going to go back to the Alabama ones, which will be there because they're small and we can learn to do this on Alabama, and then we'll move to doing it on larger areas. And so we are going to go to vector, layer, add layer, and add vector layer. Right, it brings this up. We're going to change to delimited text. We're going to navigate, and well, it took me to the Philly directory, but I want to go to the downloads, just the basic downloads directory, because that was the last place we did it, and we had it over Alabama. Here we go, Alabama Corona Tide. There we go. It's in Documents. We open that up, and it's going to ask for our point coordinates, and our X is going to be longitude, or longe, and our Y is going to be latitude, and our EPSG, which means our geometry, the way it's wrapped around the globe, is EPSG 4326. You'll memorize that in a little while, which is basically what your GPS uses. And we'll do add and close. And so there we go. Pretty nifty. I'm going to save now. And I'm going to call this Alabama Corona. And I'd already done this, so I'm going to just overwrite it. So the next thing we're going to do is add the other boundary file, which is just the Alabama county boundaries. And that you will have downloaded as the Alabama GeoJSON. So we're going to go back to vector. Back to layer, add vector layer. And we're going to hit this, and it's going to jump and I'm going to do start.json, and hopefully there we are. There's my Alabama counties, and I'm going to open that and add and close, and it says the CRS was undefined. So so it's defaulting to the WGS84, which is good because that's what we wanted. We're going to drag it below our points, and so there's a little zoomed elastic cent, which is that back and forward is the next one. So now we have our two files here, and if I click on my tide here, I can open and right click. I open the attribute table, and this has our cases by date, and it has our lats and longs and our county regions. It also has get up to the top, has a FIPS code here, which is now numbers, and we're going to go look at our FIPS code in our other one and hope it's numbers too. If it's not, we're going to have to change it. So notice how this is Perry County's 1105. So we're going to go look at, before we do it, we're going to go to our Alabama counties, and we're going to open our attribute table there, and we see it has it mixed up. This is one of the issues that we have, sadly, for almost every GIS merging package we have, or merging problem we have, is that some of things are text and some are not. So this puts us in sort of a weird situation. We're going to click on the field calculator button, and it's going to create a new field, and we're going to call that new field FIPS no for FIPS numbers, so I know that it's in number format to remind me that's not going to be, oh, it could be an integer. That will be nice. And then we have to come over here to fields and values, and FIPSNO is just going to equal the GeoID, and given that this is an integer and that's not, it should turn it into a number, and we should be able to say OK. And there we go. It created our FIPSNO there, and so those numbers should now match up. So if we look at our GeoID, instead of the 0127, it's now just 1027. And now we should be able to link those. I'm going to close that. So my county thing here, I'm now going to go to Properties. And there's a little joiner button here. And there aren't any joins. That's it right there. So we're going to do a new join. And the join layer is going to be Alabama Corona Tide. And it's going to be FIPS. And then the target field is going to be FIPSNO. Yeah. I missed. All right, and OK. And OK. And then we're going to hope that worked when we're going to go over here and right click and open the attribute table, and we'll know in just a minute if it did. When we go on over, do we see our dates and everything for our Corona going all the way down? And we sure do. All right, so that join has been done successfully. So now we have a file that we can map on, which is great. So we will come back to our properties, and we'll off a chart here. Going to slide down to symbology here, which is this one here. It's the third one down. And from single symbol, I'm going to go to graduated. The column I'm going to choose for graduated is the last date, 5/4. And I'm going to do quantile equal counts, and then I'm going to apply and OK. And so there I get a mapping of where things are bad. And they're sort of bad in a couple clusters of areas. I'm going to zoom out. A little bit so I can see the whole state. I might grab the fixed zoomer. Is not giving me what I want. There we go. So I can pretty much turn off my dots now, because this is giving me the map that I wanted for the region that I'm in. I'm going to now click Save. Because we've gotten part way to where we want, and I'm going to stop here because we're at 10 minutes, and I like to stop at about 10 minutes so we don't get too big of uploads or downloads, and then we'll start up again, adding a few new layers and doing some analysis.